All right, back here on Inside Wrestling Radio. Today on the telephone, we have Amber Oneal. Amber's worked all over the United States. She's had a lot of work in the business. She's currently running her own promotion. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the program, but she's also part of the famous tag team Team Blondage with Chrissy Vane, and we'll talk all about that too. But right now, welcome to the program, Amber Oneal.
Hey, what's up?
Very cool to have you on the radio with us today. How's things going for you?
Things are going great. Thank you for having me.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. Amber, tell the people who may not be familiar with you, and like I said, you've wrestled all over the place and for a lot of the major promotions. Tell the people who may not be familiar with you a little bit about yourself and what got you into the business.
Well, that's a long story in itself, but basically, in a nutshell, I feel like I pretty much worked for every major promotion at some point or another. Maybe not for a long period of time, but I feel blessed to have had my experiences with all of them. And I've been wrestling now going on 11 years in July will be like technically 11 years. And it seems like it was just yesterday. So I'm like, wow, I can't believe all that time has gone by, but it's been very fun. I started training at NWA Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Academy under Ricky Nelson, Leilani Kai, Gary Royal, and my first day I was hooked, and it just kind of started from there.
Really? So it was just, you got in there and it kind of just grabbed a hold of you and wouldn't let you go, huh? Kind of like it happens to all of us.
I remember, I had a friend, and she was a Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestling fan, and I'd never even seen it, except for, Glow when I was a kid. And I liked Hollywood. I remember her being like, oh, she's so pretty. I love her. She's cool. Yeah. And other than that, I had never even seen wrestling, and my friend invited me over to watch a pay-per-view one night, and I wasn't really that into it. She was all into it. She was like, well, I know there's this girl coming out later. You'll think she's cool. And it was Sable, and I was like, wow, she's really pretty, and that's cool. And then I'm one of those people, when I'm interested in something, I just don't watch it. I was kind of like, I wonder how you get a job doing that.
Right.
I just thought it was so cool, and I just kind of researched it, and I was like, well, actually, you can get a job doing this. And I found out there was a school in Charlotte, and I just kind of drove there very blind, like every decision I think I've ever made. Kind of like driving off a cliff, and I walked into this school, and they kind of laughed, because I'm like this small little shy girl, and I don't think I was going to last, and I just kept going back every day. And I remember every day I'd go home from training and be like, why am I just letting these people beat me up every day that I don't know at all? Like, I have no idea who these people are, and they're just beating the crap out of me, and I keep coming back. But it paid off. I love it now.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing about it, too, is in the beginning, and I guess you know now, having been in the business as long as you have, that's kind of a way to weed out the riffraff, I mean, if they keep coming back and really show a desire and a passion, plus the ability to do it, that's the kind of people you want in this business, you know what I mean? And I guess by showing that you had that stick-to-itiveness, for lack of a better word, that was probably the best thing you could have done.
Definitely, and I tell you, I've had a few people come up underneath me, and I was not as hard on them because I remember it sucking so bad that I was like, oh, I never want to do anybody like this at the time. And the girl that I, took under my wing, I really babied a whole lot. And I really, I think everyone should be broken that way. 100%, because you can tell who loves it, you can tell who wants it, you can tell, who really has it by who sticks around and who really wants it.
Right.
I think that's a good way of weeding them out for sure.
And two, it kind of, it separates some of these guys who go out and do this backyard stuff and, and they think because they know how to take a bump, quote unquote, that they know how to go out there and work a match. From being in the business and from having trained people, there's so much more to putting together a good match than just learning how to take a bump or doing a flip off the top rope.
Absolutely.
Amber, tell us a little bit about the formation of Team Blondage. How did you and Chrissy Vane hook up?
She came to CWF Mid-Atlantic. That was where I started, training again once I was let go from my first trainers. And, you have to always continue that to stay good and stay in shape. And you always need to keep learning. And I started training under Gemini Kid and Michael Yamaha. I met them a couple of years into the business, and they invited me to Burlington, North Carolina to do some shows that they were just getting up and started. And they basically started running these really successful shows. And from there, they started a school, and two of the best trainers I've ever met. And Chrissy Vane was a manager in the area. She was managing Slick Rick Converse, and I was managing Michael Yamaha, and we just became friends. And then she started training, and she was really, really good right off the bat. Like, you could tell she had the it factor, for sure. And we just started being friends, and we clicked, and, we had similar personalities and similar everything, I felt like. And we just clicked really well, and we worked each other for a couple of years nonstop, like every match, like wrestle each other. And we got really tired of wrestling each other. Yeah. So we decided we were going to fix that problem. So we started a tag tag team, and then we wouldn't let anybody split us up. We were going to stick together. Basically, we kept running into that same problem. So they still wanted us to wrestle each other. So we dressed alike, we did our hair alike, we wanted to look as similar as we could. And even if they put us against each other, we kind of like made it our own little story. Like, you know, the tag team that, you know, kept arguing. So we just were determined we were going to get this gimmick, you know, over no matter what people decided to do. And then that was when we actually branched out and traveled and did, you know, WEW and Shimmer and got really recognized, I feel like. And it was definitely one of the most successful parts of my career. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
And you guys were together a good long while. Do you still do any teaming at all currently?
No, she's living in Florida now, so no. When she got signed with WWE, me and Lollipop, because Lollipop was our manager on a few shows, and she really clicked with us as well. It was kind of like a very quickish thing. Sure. And you know that when you see it. And then when Chrissy got signed with WWE, me and Lollipop just kind of continued it for a little while, and then that ran its course. And then Chrissy came back from WWE, and then we did another Team Blondish 2.0 for a little bit, and then that was pretty much it. It was fun. It ran its course, you know. So
it kind of done all you could do with it, more or less.
Exactly.
Where you, and I know you probably don't want to get too far into that, but as far as Chrissy going up and doing the one spot for the WWE and then subsequently leaving the company, were you in that position? Do you think you would have done the same thing under the same circumstances?
I think, you know, she did definitely what was best for her, and everybody, you know, takes their own path, and I can't say, you know, what I would do in that situation because I wasn't there. Yeah. But, I mean, I definitely think, you know, she got the success. You know, she proved to herself she could do it, and she did it, and I was proud of her, and I just supported her no matter what she did. But, you know, I think she did what was best for her. I don't know what I would have done in that situation because I wasn't there.
Gotcha. And that's fair enough. I respect that.
It's hard to say because really you don't know.
But, you know, I guess a lot of the criticism she got was because, well, you know, so many people aspire to that level and that position, and then to actually have your hands around it, and then just to kind of, you know, throw it down. A lot of people were like, I don't get that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, a lot of those same people weren't in her circumstance at the time, so you really can't.
Exactly, and they don't know what her circumstances were either. So, you know, it's easy for people to say, oh, I would have done this. Well, no, you don't know what you would have done, you know, because you weren't there, and, you know, you don't know what that kind of pressure's like, and, you know, you have, like, personal stuff and real life going on, like, people... No one knows.
Sure, absolutely, and that's a very fair assessment of the situation. All right, Amber, we're up on a break right here. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about Shimmer, and I want to talk about Arena Chicks, which is something that you've gotten behind, and also the big Wrestle reunion coming up in Los Angeles that you're going to be a part of. We'll talk about all that when we get back from the break on Inside Wrestling Radio. All right, back here on Inside Wrestling Radio, and today on the program we have Amber Oneal. And before the break, we were talking about her early career and her tag team there with Chrissy Vane and Team Blondage. And before we move forward here, Amber, do you still pretty much keep in touch with Chrissy?
Yeah, I keep in touch with everyone in the business. You know, people separate, they move on. You know, life goes on, but you always stay in touch, and you always, you know, keep those people because that was a huge part of your life, and you don't want to ever forget that or lose it. So I always stay in touch with everyone.
Tell me a little bit about Shimmer Women's Athletics.
That is, of course, as I feel like the world knows, the most successful women's promotion ever. I do 100% feel that way. They definitely have their niche. You know, they have the strong style, Northeastern, international, women's tough, the toughest women in the world, the best women in the world, you know, thing going on. And I respect it. And I had never been introduced to that kind of wrestling, that strong style, you know, fast pace. I was always trained old school. So I had to completely almost retrain myself and readapt to that style. It definitely will gain your respect, and I think that Dave Prazak did a wonderful job putting the spotlight on all the girls and giving them a place to really showcase what they could do, and I think it's one of the best things that's ever happened to women's wrestling.
That's a big endorsement.
Well, it's true. I mean, I think they've been very successful.
You've had some good level of success there with Shimmer. Are you still currently working with them?
I haven't worked for them in a while because they're doing a lot of international right now, and I've kind of went off and done my own thing. So yeah. I still stay in touch with Dave and, you know, Allison and, you know, everyone there, but I haven't personally wrestled there myself in a while, maybe a year or so.
And you went up and did a couple of spots for TNA as well. Tell us about that.
That was definitely, I would say, the high point of my career. It was the most fun, and I was actually, I would say that was the point in my life. I was living my dream. Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy and the Hardy Boys and the whole Team Extreme was a huge, huge, huge inspiration. I was the biggest, as wrestlers would say, mark, but I hate that word, fan. I loved the Hardy Boys and Lita, and they were amazing. I just thought they were like the coolest thing, you know, when they were all together. So to get to work with Jeff Hardy on the level that I did, I'd say that was like my end-all, be-all, as far as like, you know, you always want to work with the people that got you into it, that you admired. You know, people dream of that, and I felt like that was it, you know, when I got to do that. And working with Kong was really amazing, doing the challenge, the Kong challenge.
Yeah, the $25,000 challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Working with Tracy Brooks and Gail Kim also was a huge, like, wow, can't believe especially Gail Kim, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about work, because you worked Gail Kim on a televised appearance there in 2006. Tell me about that. How was that working Gail Kim? Because she's a phenomenal athlete.
Yes. She's incredible, and I definitely, you know, you feel the pressure when that kind of stuff comes along, because you're like, you know, I have to prove, you know, that I can, you know, hang with this person, you know, and you want to impress them, you know, just as much as you do the fans.
Right.
You know, so that's a huge thing. You know, you want to make sure that, you know, this person, when it's over, like, you know, that they're like, that, you know, that was good. I felt good about that.
Yeah, right.
Kind of like you're trying just as much to impress them as you are the people in the audience, and then, you know, you have that feeling with yourself, like, oh, did I do okay? But it ended up being really, really good, and I had some amazing matches with Jacqueline, you know, from WWE, and that was an amazing, I would say I would put that right up there with the Jeff Hardy experience, because Jacqueline, Miss Jackie, was the one that was actually feuding with Sable when Sable got me hooked. Like, wow, I want a job like this. I want to do what this hot, badass girl does. Being able to work with Jacqueline and having it be that successful, and she was one of the most nicest people I'd ever met in my entire life. That was a huge, huge, huge experience for me, too. I definitely would put working with her right up there with Jeff Hardy, top times in my career.
That's another huge endorsement. What's Jacqueline doing now? You don't really hear a lot about her anymore.
I'm not sure. I do wish I knew. I did know, though, because that makes me feel like I want to, like, text her when we get off the phone. So I know.
Yeah.
Because I wonder about that. I wonder what she's up to. But I was really excited for her and her run with Jane Storm, because to be able to have a comeback like that after, you know, a long break is amazing.
Well, when you text her, how about send her our phone number so we can talk to her as well?
I will definitely drop that for you.
Very cool. Tell us a little bit about Wrestlelicious before we get into Arena Chicks.
You know, that federation got a lot of flack, but I got to tell you, it deserves, you know, an award, because that was an experience where that was another. I will put that up on the shelf with Jeff and Jackie, because, like I said earlier, I had never even seen wrestling except for when I was a kid, and I got introduced to Glow because I was watching the Phil Donahue show one day. Right. If that doesn't tell you how far back that was.
Sure.
And the Glow girls were on the Phil Donahue show, and I was like, wow, these girls are so cool. They're like tough, and they're so pretty, and they were really taking up for themselves. You know, they believed in what they were doing, and I started watching Glow from that day on, and Hollywood was my favorite, and she was just so cool. And when this opportunity came along, it was the same show, same owner, same story writer, same everything, and I was just like, I definitely want in on this. I want to be a part of this. And it's an amazing federation, and I think they give us a different platform to showcase what we can do, and I think that that's what people need to look at is, you know, there's several different ways to showcase wrestling. Yeah. It's not, you know, just in the Shimmer way. It's not just in the old school way. It's not just, you know, in the Northeastern way. It's not just the Japanese way. It's not the Lucha Libre. It's every way.
Right, yeah.
And they gave us the platform to showcase, you know, characters and a comedy acting. It was just a very different kind of platform and a different level, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm ready for season 2.
Yeah, and there has been a little bit of comparison, I guess, down the line to the original Glow. And I wouldn't say, I don't think it probably goes that far, because as you remember, that Glow was just completely over the top.
Yeah, and, you know, this time, like, it was, you know, the same cartoony, like, funny, you know, characters.
Yeah.
But this time the girls could really work.
Yeah.
Like, we were putting on, I think, really good matches. I mean, I felt like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think some people felt like it, like, undermined what we could do, but I didn't feel that way at all. I felt like it was just a different platform.
Sure.
You know, like, we're not going to get in there and brawl it out like you do in Shimmer, because that's not what you're selling. Like, it's a kind of a kid's show, you know, and a very character-oriented show, so you play like Daphne being the Dracula or the vampire, like you play on that character. And I think that was cool because, you get to showcase I can act and wrestle at the same time and play this part. And that's kind of hard to do if you think about it. Wrestling in that white ruffly skirt is not easy.
I'm sure it's not, but it is a very cool thing. And I remember you talking about Glow. I remember one episode of that where they were wrestling in a spider web or some just completely insane.
Goodness, yeah.
Just some completely.
I mean, it's crazy. It's a different. It's fun and it's different, and I mean, you just have to watch it, with an open mind and have a good time with it, and just say, hey, I saw this same girl on Shimmer last week, literally like kicking this girl's butt, and this week, she's rolling around in a white ruffly skirt, making me laugh, and I love the comedy skits. That was a different experience. I'd never got to do any kind of comedy before, so that was really fun.
We're running out of time here, but before we get out of here, I definitely want to talk some about Arena Chicks. That's the new organization that you're kind of behind. Tell us about Arena Chicks.
Yay. I'm really excited about Arena Chicks. I came up with this a couple of years ago, and I knew I always wanted to do it. I always knew eventually when it was time for me to step down, and I feel like I'm leaning towards the end of my actual active wrestling career in the next few years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm a step away forever, but when you're getting, it's 10 years, been doing this a while, I've done everything I set out to do.
Right.
And I knew that this was going to be, towards the end of my career. And I want to do the same thing. I want to give women a place to showcase, what they can do. And Shimmer definitely, I think was the, Wrestlicious did it, I would say Glow did it, set a platform in the 80s, and then Shimmer set a different one, a few years ago. And I wanted to give women a place to showcase their pro wrestling skills in an old school setting, which is what, the Mid-Atlantic, North Carolina area is. And I wanted to call it Arena Chicks because I wasn't quite sure. I wanted to just promote women's wrestling because I'm a huge MMA fan as well. And I feel like the future in, competitive sport is MMA for sure.
Absolutely.
And I feel like right now there's not a lot of active women. And my goal with that is I want to have a women's wrestling program sold via DVD or whatever outlet I can get. And then I want to also have a women's MMA team because I feel like that's very much the future.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the next couple of years I'll get that spread going. Talking to different girls that are training right now all over the place, and eventually I want to put them together and put on some shows and get some stuff sponsored to give them a place to showcase what they can do as well, because there's a huge market for this. I just don't feel like it's been captured.
Amber, we're all the way out of time here, but before we get out of here, how do people contact you? How do they connect with you on the internet?
You can reach me on amberbookings@yahoo.com and check out Arena Chicks for all the newest updates. And our first DVD release is at Wrestle Reunion, January 28th through 30th in LA, and that will be the DVD release party of Volume 1, and that's arenachicks.com and amberoneal.net.
Amber Oneal, thank you so much for coming on the program today. We greatly appreciate it. And listen, best of luck to you, continued success, and anything we can do for you here on the radio, definitely give us a call and let us know. And when you get that MMA thing going, call us back and let's talk about that some more.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that's going to do it for the interview portion of the program. We'll be right back here, close the program right here on Inside Wrestling Radio.